Hi, I'm Tom Muñoz, and on our next episode of Vendor Voices, we have Zoe here, the Vice President of The Addison, which is one of the premier wedding venues in all of South Florida. And if you can, I'd love for you to share with us a little bit about The Addison and what makes it special.
I'd be honored to. So it was built in 1925 by the acclaimed architect Addison Meisner, and it was his administration building. And he lived here with the draftsman and then started to create what is now known as the Boca Raton, the beautiful hotel across the road. And there is a lot of original architecture here. We've preserved it. We're very proud of it. We have taken the legacy of Addison Meisner, and I believe that we pay homage to him every day, whether it be with our exceptional food and the awarding of the 5-Star Diamond Award for our culinary excellence, or whether it is literally just preserving tiles that he personally laid 100 years ago. So it's a beautiful property, it's magnificent, and it's also a historically registered property.
That's phenomenal. And I know that me personally, I've been able to share in other great days like Valentine's Day or Thanksgiving, and you guys do special events throughout the year as well.
We do. Look, we're a special events venue. We celebrate those special moments. So whether that be you coming here on date night with your beautiful partner, wife, or whether it's coming here on Halloween and doing a Halloween event, we really truly believe that moments in life should be celebrated.
So, what are the advantages of having your venue also be your caterer?
Well, the complication of renting a venue and then having to build the wedding is it increases your costs considerably. So things like bringing in tables, chairs, linens, all of that has to be rented in. And then when you have a caterer that then is working off premise, the quality is compromised. They cannot physically produce that food day of. So they're bringing in all of this equipment, they're cooking in very difficult environments, and the food is going to be mediocre. There is no question. So I always say, if you can find a venue that is going to give you not only a beautiful ambiance, but also freshly cooked and prepared food, on site, that's going to be better. It's going to save you a ton of money.
I think people think if they get a space and they bring in their own caterer, that they're going to end up at the end of the day saving money. But I really feel like that is one of those lies that
it's simply not true.
It's just not true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you have to build the wedding from the ground up. So everything that you would get as standard at a venue that has its catering, like the plates, the glassware, the chairs, the tables, the linens, you have to bring all that in.
Right.
And then the kitchen, the caterer has to bring in a kitchen too, which adds extra cost. It really is not always the best and most sensible way of doing it. It's not going to be cheaper and it's not going to be as good.
Right.
Even if you're comparing it to a mediocre wedding venue, you're
Gotcha.
going to get mediocre food for a lot more money. And
Right.
that does not make sense for any budget.
So what do you think are the 3 most successful components to having a wedding?
So there's so many aspects that make a wedding good, but I do genuinely believe that the first most important is your venue. And I think that is the foundation for success. If you have, the wedding happening in multiple locations and people have to get in cars and drive from point A to point B, and you have no rain backup, and rain can come anytime. It doesn't matter what time of the year.
Oh, you don't like the weather in Florida, wait 10 minutes.
Yeah, and exactly. So you need a venue that is not only central, 2 beautiful locations around it. You need a venue that has rain backups that can accommodate any emergency. You need a venue that has a beautiful backdrop for photos. You need a venue that can deliver hot plates of food consistently well, day in and day out. You need a team with a strong focus on service, because ultimately you're paying money for your guests to come and celebrate your special day. And the last thing you need is for those guests to leave going, well, that was miserable. You've spent the money, you deserve the best. So venue for me is number 1. Secondly is entertainment. You're bringing them in, they're going to have great food, they're going to have a great venue, because hopefully you're choosing the right venue. And you don't want a DJ or a band that's mediocre and everybody's sitting there thinking, well, this isn't a particularly good party. You need to spend money on the best DJ and entertainment or band that your budget permits. And there are various budget DJs available that will give you a great party, even though you're not spending the highest budget.
Right.
And lastly, and this is so critically important, because the only thing that you have at the end of the wedding is the photos to memorialize that day. And nothing breaks my heart more than a bride that brings in a photographer that delivers a terrible product, because she's going to look back on that day and go, I have no photos of it. If I'm going to have a wedding, or I'm going to have my daughter get married, or a member of my family, or anybody I care, I'm going to tell them, find the best venue, ambiance, that has good, sensible rain backups, that can accommodate your budget. Make sure you have phenomenal entertainment that's going to keep your guests up and partying all night long. And make sure you choose the right photography team to memorialize your day. Because at the end of the day, once you've spent that money and the day's gone, that's all you have.
I completely agree. Something I say to our brides a lot is your memories and your wedding photos are one of the only things that you leave the wedding with that increases in value.
Absolutely.
You know, a lot of bride and grooms sometimes don't understand why you have a preferred vendors list. Guiding brides and grooms to, listen, if your venue has a relationship with them and you know that they do weddings day in and day out, can you give us a little advice on the importance of hiring vendors that the venue is referring?
I think there's a lot of misconception about preferred vendor lists, that, you know, it's because the venue or the wedding planners are all, you know, taking money on the table. I mean, that really isn't the case. At its heart, the reason why we have a preferred vendor list is because they make us look good. That is at the heart of why we recommend. And here's what I mean by that. We know that we have tight turns here. We're a very busy venue. We do between 550 and 650 events a year. So in order to fill up our venue, we need to have protocols in place where we can make this venue magic in very short periods of time. We allow flexibility because I believe brides should have choices, but do I think they should always book our vendors? 100%. So at the heart, it's about knowing that your vendor is going to deliver.
So what advice would you give to couples or families that want to have a great wedding, great event, but are also budget conscious?
So obviously, when you're looking at a venue, any venue, whether it be the Addison or any one of our competitive venues, there's only 52 Saturdays in the year. So people immediately go, I want to get married on a Saturday. If you book those, you're going to be spending the most money, because not only are the venues F&B or food and beverage minimums the highest, because that's our premium time, the vendors, they have the same thing. Your photographer, your florist, your DJ, they have 52 Saturdays. So if you want to do the best in the business, but you want to save money and be fiscally responsible, do a Sunday, do a Friday. We do weddings here on a Tuesday. For us, we see weddings here any day of the week, and it doesn't matter what day of the week. It is a party and it is a celebration, but it is going to save you money, which is critical with most families. The other way is downsizing the wedding. Do you need 250 people? I always say to brides, if you haven't seen that person in the last 3 years, do you really feel the need to invite them to your wedding? Like, if you do, that's on you. But realistically, you could do a wedding for 150, 125 people and save a bunch of money. And then guess what? You get to have the pretty things that you might need to cut back on because you might not have that budget. There are times when brides have a vision, but their budget doesn't necessarily stretch to that. So our job as planners is to understand the vision, and to give alternatives. So things like putting favors on the table, as an example. You don't need that.
Right.
You can, I'll be quite honest with you, guests leave and we're collecting up a lot of those, hard-earned cash favors which should be going home with someone. So I think we're going to execute the vision with communication. We're going to know you, understand you, we're going to listen, we're going to talk, and then we're going to help you deliver by communication.
And not only that, you're going to show them.
Absolutely.
Right? Like you literally switch out the plate in front of them.
Absolutely.
Switch out do you like this chair?
And we
or
have
do you like this
photos
chair?
on everything.
Right.
We're very good at collecting them from you. So trust us, because we care about you. We wouldn't be doing it otherwise.
Right.
So take our advice, listen to us, and use us for our experience.
I love that. I have to say, this has been so awesome. And every time that you speak, I learn something new. And I so appreciate the love that you've shown to my entire family and our studio. So thank you so much for being here today.
Well, we love you, and you're a part of our family here at the Addison, and you always will be.
Well, I want to thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and knowledge with us. And I want to thank all of you for watching. And we'll see you at the next episode of Vendor Voices.